I believe we last left off on project one, so I kind of want to see some of your progress on that. Does anyone want to share their work? You can raise your hand. Anyone? Okay then. I guess we'll move on then. So, more about HTML. We will try and get to JavaScript today. I'm not sure if we can. I'll try. So attributes tell us more about an element. So remember back on our list of elements, we had the anchor tag, which makes a hyperlink. So an attribute called href tells the element more about the hyperlink, like in this case, where does it lead to? So if we had an anchor rep equals, and notice that we have here double quotation marks, and then we can put the actual link inside. So here we have https google.com. So we can test that out right now. And if we run it, we should see a link here. And if we click on it, it takes us to Google. Now, something else, another attribute that goes along with the anchor tag is target. Target tells the browser more like about where you want it to appear. So in this case, if we put link, it will know to open it in a new tab. So if we put target equals link, and then we should, yes, it opens the link in a new tab. So what happens if we just have an anchor tag, anchor element without any attributes? Like it just does not want to be an anchor tag at all. If we go into inspect by pressing Control Shift I, we hover over this. See, it's still an anchor, but it's not showing up as a link because I have not provided an ref for the browser. So the browser knows that this is not really a link. It does not know where to take me if I click on it. And then with the image tag, img, we have a source attribute. So the source attribute is another attribute where it takes a URL. And it's used where you have an element pulling information from somewhere instead of taking you somewhere. So here the image is being pulled from some random image. So to test this out, image of a cat eating hay. Just say I want to use this image, copy image address, and here we have that image. So I will take this and I will make an image tag. Now, image is one of those very special elements where it does not require a closing tag because you cannot really put anything inside an image, like you can't put text inside the image, so it does not need an ending tag. But just keep in mind, they're very rare, so unless it's specified, you need to use an ending tag. So if go here again, we have the image here and paths. So since we were talking about URLs, we need to understand paths more. If the website is on, say, example.com, and like, say you're on this URL right now, that URL is appearing in the browser right there, then then there are three types of paths. The first is called a root relative path. In this case, the root would be this, everything before the first slash. So there's the first slash, everything before it, sorry, everything before the first slash, including the HTTPS, because that's going to be always there. That's the protocol. That is going to be the domain, the subdomain, protocol, and everything after that is going to be the relative path. So here, if we start the link with a slash, it will take us to the domain. So the domain slash processes slash inflate.js. So say we have something like this, where we have an anchor, and we point it to, say, slash project slash two. So we'll be trying to go to two. When we click the link, you see the only thing that changed was the part after the domain. So it basically preserved the domain and then changed what's after the domain. If we were to set this to something else, say index.html, because, well, everything has an index.html, and we reload this, and we go back to project one, click the link, and it goes back to index.html. So this is useful when you want to stay inside the website. Like if you have a website about something and you want to link another page on the website, maybe in a header or like you're referencing another page, you don't have to type out the whole domain because your domain is going to change if you are, say, using GitHub code spaces. You have this as your domain to work with. If you are actually deploying it and buying your own domain, then that will change. If you're running it on your own computer, your domain will be localhost. So it's useful not to be tied to a single domain and just use slash as a root relative path. And then we have a relative path, which is without the slash. That's just, say, login.html. So that will preserve everything down to the last slash. So here you see we have slash user slash. It will preserve everything to the last slash, which is the slash after user, and then put whatever that is in after user. So in this case, it will be login.html. So it will be example.com/user/login.html. Now, an absolute paths we were using on the previous two slides, it's just you include the whole thing. and you need to include the protocol, HTTPS or HTTP, because otherwise, uh, your browser will see this as a relative path because there's no slash in front, there's no HTTPS, so it will try and go to some like weird URL. Say I forget to put the HTTP in, and I have google.com, and I go to this link. You see, it's treating that as a relative path in which it's going to projects slash one slash google.com. So we need to have the HTTPS in. A shorthand for HTTPS or HTTP is going to be just slash slash. And so, although that, I believe that was deprecated like a while ago. So yes, I don't think that works anymore. Never mind. Okay, so project two. Can any of you have your code space open from uh last lesson, the same code space that we used? Okay, so go to github.com/code spaces, and then over here you should have something that says something slash richcode.js dash static or whatever you named for respiratory. Click into it, and click into the code space you created last time. So when you're there, you can raise your hands. So do you remember that you made a code space on the first lesson? Okay, so can you open that code space back up? Okay, okay, guys, you can raise your hand if you're where I am, like on this page in the code space that you opened last time. Project 3 is not found. Project 3 should be there unless you deleted it. but we're working on project 2 right now, so you shouldn't really worry about that until later, guess. You guys having trouble getting to the code space? If you're there, just like raise your hand. So I know how many people have. Okay, good. Is anyone else at the code space? We're just opening project 2 right now. Okay. Okay, how about this? Raise your hand if you haven't gotten to the code space yet. Raise your hand if you have not gotten to where I am right now. Okay, so I will assume that everyone has gotten there, at least everyone who is present of mind. So, we can start doing project 2. So, use what we learned with path and attributes. So, use different types of paths, use anchors and images, and make a web page. I will give you 10 minutes. So, also, if you're confused about anything, just raise your hand and I will try and help you. Or you can just search online because the internet is made from HTML and thus you can probably find people who will explain more about HTML to you online. Okay, so we have around 3 minutes left. How many of you are done? If you are done, like, raise your hand. Okay. How many of you still need more time? Okay, who raise your hand if you need more time. If you're done, Chow, you can put your hand down. Okay, so one person needs more time. I guess we have around 1 minute 30, well, 2 minutes left. Okay, so the 10 minutes are up. Does anyone want to share their code? Oh, okay. Can you send it in the chat then? Service block on GitHub code spaces, or when you try to go onto the viewer. Where does it say surface block? Oh, yeah. Um, I would say try and find another image because your image, your two images are encoded in base64 as a data URL, which means basically you're trying to encode this whole image, take each pixel of it and turn it into text and like encode it into base64, so it will be very long. Try and find an image where it's an actual link and it starts with HTTPS. But just send it to me in the chat. I'll put it on my thing. No, just the code itself. Just like copy the code and send it in the chat. It should it should not be longer than 1,000 characters if you're using a normal URL. Okay, so to run, you want to go to the terminal here, press enter npm start, and then click on that. And you should have it in project 2. So click on that link. Well, does anyone still have the capability and want to send their code to me in the chat or no? The image link. So I would say just image because like your images, they're in base64 form, so can't really use them. Okay, so I guess I will have to move on from here then. So if we open this up, you'll see like my image is very high resolution, so it will appear like really, really big. And then the link is up here, and there's like, you see the formatting is really off. So there is going to be a way to fix that, and that is CSS. So first of all, this is the head. So if we look at like literally every HTML file, we will see that there is a head section that we talked about last week. It's basically what you don't see over here, like from this corner to this corner to this corner to this corner. That's going to be the body. Everything out of that is going to be the head. So basically, the title, that is going to be what shows up over here. So in this case, the title is going to be JavaScript number 1, Google slide. Title of this is going to be index.html dash richcode.js dash static code face musical spoon visual dot 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 and so on. So meta tags tell the browser how to render and previews and descriptions. So basically, this meta tag here is telling the browser, here I am using UTF-8 encoding for text. What that means is basically like how you are going to store emojis and other characters that are not like usually on ASCII. So what's not on your keyboard, how do you type those out? And here's a link tag. This one, it provides the favicon, which is the little icon there that we see for like almost every web page. And this link, it links a style sheet, which is basically a CSS file. So CSS is cascading style sheets. Its job is to make HTML look better, to format the HTML, and what you can do with it, you can add colors, borders, you can render effects, and you can make it somewhat interactive. So there are two ways to put CSS in. A rule of thumb is that you should always just put it in the head. You should never put it in the body. You can have a link tag, which we saw previously, or you can have a style. So inside that, that's basically the CSS. You instead of like having text in there, you have CSS, which the browser will take, and basically it tells the browser how to render the text in the body. So this whole thing is a class. It basically consists of a selector, a declaration, which consists of a property and a value. So basically, if we have a class, then it will be the name. Right here, we just have P, so no dot. So this will just be a selector. If we have something like that, uh, here the color attribute is gonna, the color property is going to tell the HTML that it needs to render everything within the p tags, paragraph tags, all the text within it to be red. So if we open this back up, all the text is going to be red, except for the link, which overrides. So if we have text here and more text here, we reload that here. Here is the red text, so all the text within paragraph will be red. Now, if we have an actual class, that means that we have something that the HTML can reference to say, oh, I want it to look like this. It's basically a template. So if we have, say, um, dot all, so we can name this class whatever we want. I'm going to name this one, uh, project one theme because I don't have any better ideas. We are going to be setting the color to say blue, background color to aquamarine. And just keep in mind, in actual CSS, these like things will not pop up for you. It's just because um GitHub's code spaces will try and make this easier for you. They will include that. So if I want to add something else like border 5p 2px solid flat. And then I have something like a divide divider here, and we can set the class by using class is equal to. So you will notice that everything in this class has taken precedent over this one div, but if we put text out of it, like just some random text there, you will see it's not affected at all by the CSS because what's in this div has the class of project one theme, and we have defined project one theme here to be these three. So we have the blue text, the aquamarine background color, and the black border. So basically CSS's job is to make things look better. If we have if we have something without CSS, it will look even worse than this because like literally every competent website will use CSS to enhance the rendering of the website. So you can have shorthand like border. So as you see here, I have like multiple values for border. 2px tells it how thick I want the border to be. Solid tells it that I want a solid border, not a dashed one or one made out of dots. And black just tells it the color. So we could just split this into like border thickness and then border uh color and then other border stuff. But it's quicker just to have that shorthand and put in like border 2px black solid because it's gonna be quicker just to do it and spend less space and use less lines. You can override HTML, so you can make a like how that link will stay like that purplish color with a blue underline. You can actually get rid of that using CSS if you don't like it. So if I have an anchor tag here that points to, and we have like something like that in there, and then we select the every anchor tag and we make it so that there's text declaration none and oh wow. And then we go here. That is actually a link. It looks like normal text, right? But I can click it and it takes me to Google. That is because I did text decoration none, which removes the underline, and color black, which turns the color of the text black. So a few CSS properties. We have color, border, background color. Uh, I have referenced those and height and width. So if we have a an image, uh, so let's use the same image from before. Oh my. But now I want that image to be, oh my, nope, I don't want that. I want that image to be smaller. So I will do height, say 100 px. Px stands for pixels, by the way. Width, uh, 150 px. So you will see that makes it, you can change the size of the image. You can even like make it 1000 pixels, in which case we will stretch it out a lot because the width is only 150 px. So what if you want to scale an image down without changing the ratio of like height to width? You can always just count the pixels. If you don't want to do that, which like nobody wants to do, then okay, so for simplicity, I will do 500 px here. We can do width and auto. So basically that tells the browser you can set the width whatever you want. I just want the height to be 500 px. So the browser will automatically just set the width to the correct width for it not to be warped. So if we go and inspect here, we can see down, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little pop-up that says that this image is 692.22 pixels times 500 pixels. So the browser has essentially taken the original image and scaled it down so that the height is 500 pixels, but it's not warped in any way. So classes, we already kind of talked about this, but classes can be used with literally any element, images, paragraphs, like almost every element you will learn about, except maybe like stuff in the head and script tags because those we don't actually display anything. So anyways, we have around 10 minutes left and so I think we can start on project 3 then, which is going to be using CSS to actually enhance a web page. So I guess I'll give you the rest of class to work on this. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or send it in the chat. I think one of you mentioned that you were missing 3. Like, you should not be missing folder number 3. If you are, you can just use this button to create a folder. Sorry, just click on projects, create a folder called 3, and then in that folder you can make it an index.html and style.css and copy over your code from, like, say, just copy the code from here, copy it from your project 2, and make sure to actually use classes and element selectors. So like maybe make all of the paragraphs like pink text or regulate all the size of like the height of every image to be the exact same. Okay, so it's around 3 minutes from the end of class. I want to share something with you guys before the end of this class. So next week we will be going into JavaScript. You see, that's like literally the next slide. So since we're getting into some of the more complicated stuff, I'm going to introduce Stack Overflow to you. Stack Overflow is a site where you can ask questions and like people answer them, I guess, and you can answer other people's questions. So I would recommend you make an account there. Just don't ask questions that, I mean, like are a bit too simple because they will kind of roast you. So yeah, I have been using Stack Overflow for quite a while now. I would say it's a very good community. You need to contribute to the community as much as you pull from it. So don't just ask questions and don't like not answer questions. And if you don't know the answer to something, like don't answer the question because people are looking for good answers. And like if once you get a bit more, I would say advanced, if and you're searching up stuff like uh jQuery, which is something that like nobody uses anymore in JavaScript. Uh, so you see like a lot of the answers will be from Stack Overflow. So I just searched something up that's like really, really random, like some random JavaScript question, and you see the first result came from Stack Overflow. So it is a very good resource. I would really recommend you guys to check it out. And if you have questions, search for answers on Stack Overflow and on Google. And I think that is the end of class. So like you guys are free to leave now. Bye.